Okay. Swagatam. Today is February 2nd, 2011. Let's do the Mangalacharanam, Wednesday class. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Vijata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Parayanam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sada Bhautame Bho Rama Mamuddhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tuttulyam Rama Nama Varanane Sri Rama Nama Varanana Om Nama Iti. Let's do the Maheshwara Sutrani. Ai Un Rulruk E Ong Ayaucha Hayavarak Lan Nyamanga Na Nam Jabang Garadash Jabagadash Kapha Cha Cha Tha Cha Cha Tav Kapai Sha Sha Sar Hal Iti Maheshwara Sutrani. So we are on this page. We were talking about Saptami Bhakti last time, which is the last one now in this book. So we are coming to the end of the Bhakti Vicharaha. It's on page 112. I think we covered everything except for these points number 3 and 4. Point number 3 and 4, just to refresh ourselves, is that any Vibhakti assignment, Vibhakti Vidhanam, is done only in the Dvitiyasya Adhyayasya Tritiye Pade. Vibhakti Vidhanam Kriyate. Anyasthanam Nasti. There is no other place in the Ashtadhyayi where Pani directly prescribes a Vibhakti, that uses Vibhakti, use that Vibhakti, etc. So any Vibhakti assignment, you have to start from 2.3. The 2.3 in our case right now, which of course we did all this last time, is that Saptamyadhikaranecha. So Ityarabhya, Iti Sutradharabhya, starting from here, up to we saw what? Nakshatre Chalupi, which is a very specific sutram. We didn't see the Apalik sutram, very specific, which is not covered in this book, so we don't have to worry about that one. And between Panini also has Panchami Vibhakte. Panchami Vibhakte. So this is also one which we don't have to, because that's the Panchami Vidhanam. Now, one thing we remember is there is also a section called Karake, which I've seen repeatedly many times, 1-4. So any Vibhakti that you have, not only Saptami, these are the steps to follow. We start with 2.3, and then also you have to link to Karake, which is in 1.4.23 onwards, and then Sutram here, which you saw, is that Adharodhikaranam. Now, of course, the Shashti Vibhakti is not a Karaka Vibhakti, so that will not come in the Karaka section. But any other Vibhakti, you will normally have a Karaka Sanya, which is being Pratamasya Jayasya Chaturthe Padhe Vidiyate. Then Tat Sambandhi Vibhakti Vidhanam. So Adharodhikaranam, very straightforward. And last class, we saw the Adhar Bhedaha. We saw the Adhar Bhedaha, which is we saw the Aupashleshika Adhara, physical contact, which means that or proximity also. Kate Aste Gangayam Ghoshaha. Somebody sits on a mat, he sits on a mat. Gangayam Ghoshaha is the cowherd hamlet, is on the Ganga, means not literally on the Ganga, inside the Ganga, but on the bank of the Ganga. So Gangayaha Tire Ityarthaha, Samipe. Iko and Achi also same thing, is Achi also. Achi is close by, Samipavarti. Now, the other thing we saw was Vaishayikaha. So this is the main thing about Saptami. The Adhara is of various kinds. In fact, the points you're going to look at today, the points of today are going to all come under this Adhara only. Because Vaishayikaha, Mokshe Ichha is a desire in the matter of, the reference of, in the topic of, in the subject of moksha. So Mokshe Ichha, there's also an Adhara, because the Ichha, if somebody is, you can say Ichha Vartate, Mokshe Ichha Vartate, Mokshe Ichha Kriyate, so Mokshe Ichha Jayate, what it might say. Ichha is again, this Adhara comes through the Kartru or the Karma, Kartrudvarena Atva Karmadvarena. Because of course the Kartru and Karma are involved in the action, but one of them is situated on this either physically on or conceptually on this basis substratum. So ichcha is the subject here, and the subject ichcha is in the topic of moksha. Is the ichcha in the matter of moksha ichcha. In English, you would say that he has a desire for liberation. So again, this warning should also carry through all vibhaktis, is that this English for, particularly the word for, cannot be translated directly into a vibhakti. So try to avoid using chaturthi, constantly with for. Not only that, even the in, the on, the by, etc. They work okay, like by or with tritiya vibhakti, in or on with saptami, with the apostrophe s or possessive for shashti. Those are all fine, but they should not be taken like hard and fast. Same thing now, Mayi Karuna. So please have compassion towards me. Please have pity for me in English. That means Karuna again is the subject. Karuna vartate, Karuna kartavya, Mayi, with respect to me, with regard to me. Then so that's the Vaishayikaha, Vishesha. So what we call Vishesha Saptami, Vishaya Saptami. Anything I say wrong in the class, please raise your hand, please let me know. Even if you say after the class, it is fine, because the main thing for us as a group is to record this thing as cleanly as possible. So Abhivyapakaha is Tileshu Tailam. When something pervades something, it may not be physically sitting on top of it or close to it, it might pervade something. Tileshu Tailam. So this oil pervades the sesame seed, Tileshu Tailam. So that's what we saw. Now, so there was Adhara Bheda. That was only one sutra we saw in 1445, is that the Adharodhikaranam. Only one sutra. And then we went to 2.3 and we saw a couple of special cases of the Saptami. 2.3. So 2.3.36. And there we saw Saptamyadhikaranecha. And then we also saw Yasyacha Bhavena Bhava Lakshanam, what we call Sati Saptami. When the timing of one well-known action indicates the timing of another action. Pravritte Shastra Sampate Dhanurudyamya Pandava Rishikesham Tada Vakyam Vidamaha Mahipate. Pravritte Shastra Sampate. When the descent of arrows had just begun, was about to begin, actually in that case, Arjuna asked Shri Krishna some question. Pravritte Shastra Sampate Dhanurudyamya Pandava. I think it comes in chapter 1 itself. Pravritte Shastra Sampate. So, and so on. So this is a very special Saptami case where the doer of the actions are two different things. When one thing is happening, then there's something else, somebody else is doing something else. So it's called Sati Saptami. The next sutra is just all recapping from last time. And then, so these are main Saptami, situations. So Shashti Chanadare. Shashti can also be used, when it is that, when Anadaraha Vivakshitaha. When the Vivaksha for Anadaraha, Adaraha is respect, Anadara is disrespect, in spite of, disregarding. But again, just like anything else, this is not hard and fast, black and white. So the Vivakti sometimes, it may not be Anadaraha also. It might be just even as, might be just simultaneity might be involved. So Shashti and Saptami both can be used. Then we saw this Swami, Ishvara, Adipa, etc. 2.3.39. By the way, our Mudgala Kosha, unfortunately, right now is, I think, not working. So you may not be seeing the links on our web page are not working right now. There's also a beautiful Kashika, which is work is being done at Brown University. And this is the interface is a little bit more clumsy. It is the http://sanskritlibrary.org. If you go under text and go under Kashika, it's pretty clean text. So if you look at 2.3, only thing you have to interface like this from the top over here. So 2.3, let's say 37. So 37, 38, 39. So 39 we saw last time, which is the Swami Ishvara Adipa Pati Dayad Sakshi Pratibhu Prasutaihi Cha. So when you are the lord of something, or the heir to something, or witness to something, then also Saptami can be used along with Shashti. So says Gavam Swami, Gosha Swami. It's a specific word which we saw last time. Now, the last important sutram I think that we saw was the Yatasya Nirdharanam. Yatasya Nirdharanam, which says that when you want to distinguish an element from its class, and the chapter 10 of Gita is a classic example of Nirdharane Shashti. So, of course, there Shashti has been used. Saptami also could be used. I think the bulk of the Gitayaha Dashame Adhyaya Drishyate Nirdharane Shashti. Punah Punah Prayukta. This is in the 6th chapter of Gita. You can see the Nirdharane, sorry, 10th, Dashame Adhyaya. You can see the, for example, you can see here, Marichir Marutam Asmi. So among the Maruts, I am Marichihi. Nakshatranam Aham Shashi. Of course, yes, Shashti has been used on Saptami because you can see it in the vritti of the Sutram Yatasya Nirdharanam. You have the Shashti and Saptami both coming down there. So Yatasya Nirdharanam. The good thing about this Kashika is that also the Padacheda has been done for you. Make it a little bit easier for you to understand. Shashti Saptamyo Vartete. Shashti and Saptami, and then Jati Guna Kriyabhi Samudayat Ekadeshasya Prutak Karanam Nirdharanam. When you distinguish one element from the group on the basis of Jati, Guna or Kriya, that's called Nirdharanam. And the group from which the element is distinguished, that will take Shashti or Saptami. So Yataha Nirdharanam, Tataha Shashti Saptamyo Vibhakti Bhavataha. Manushyanam Kshatriyaha Shuratamaha, Manusheshu Kshatriyaha Shuratamaha. So among men, Kshatriya is the bravest among men. So that's the one we saw. So that pretty much completes this one. I have 2 Ashtadhyayas here. Okay. Now, coming back to what we had to complete in this lesson, which is today's thing. So this was a review of last time. These are the main sutras that we saw. Now, besides this, we can now look to some peripheral things for guidance. And one of the main things to look at, also look at in the Samasa section. And Samasa Vidhanam is only 2 padas in the Ashtadhyaya, which is 2.1 and 2.2. And so any Samasa that you have to compose in this language, which is going to be the main topic of this year. After this lesson, we're going to be doing mainly the Samasa Abhyasaha, Samasa Vicharaha. And there we'll have to be concerning mainly with 2.1, 2.2. And so we'll be looking at the bulk of this year, maybe some part of next year is going to be the Samasa Prakaranam. And there between 2.1, 2.2 and 2.2, 2.2 is Tatpurusha Samasaha. So those Tatpurusha Samasas, when Panini makes a Samasa Vidhanam, of course before doing Samasa Vidhanam, you have to do the Vibhakti Vidhanam. Yadi Vibhakti eva na samavati tarhi Samasa katam kartavyaha. You cannot do Samasa. So sometimes Panini makes a Samasa Vidhanam, which implies in that a Vibhakti Vidhanam. So if you find a Vibhakti being used, which is not coming under any sutram in 2.3 or including the 1.4 behind it, then try to see that there's Samasa Vidhanam being done somewhere. And for Saptami, Panini Sutram Saptami Shaundhaihi, and so he has some sutras here. You can maybe look at the Shaundha Adigana. So Shaunda, this is one point you can use. Now, why am I coming here today? Just to give you the general technique of attacking a Vibhakti assignment. Remember, every sentence, almost every sentence has some Vibhaktis in it. So this topic is not a trivial topic. Of course, you can also use just your intuition and go with that. But if you really want to do the Sutra Dvarena Samadhanam, this is the system that you have to follow. Start from 2.3. 1.4 behind it, then look at maybe some samasas if there's something extra in there. If not, Shishta Prayogaha, Athva, Anyad Nyapakam. There might be a Nyapakam somewhere else. That maybe this Prayoga has been used in the Mahavashyam or somewhere. So it is more of an art form, these bhaktis. So Saptami Shaundhaihi, look at briefly 2.140. Will that help us any? Make any decisions today? So 2.140, 2.140, 2.140. And at the end of the day, you may not find something which is a perfect fit. You can have to make some extensions. It's also possible. To say Saptami Shaundaihi, Saptamyantam Shaundadibhis saha samasyate Tatpurushaha cha samaso bhavati Aksheshu Shaundaha. One who's very skilled. Shaundaha. Shaundaha, I think one who's skilled. Praveenaha. Kushalaha. So one who's skilled in gambling, I think Aksheshu Shaundaha in dice in the game of dice. Aksheshu Shaundaha. So these are the Shaundaha. Now, what I said to you before is that the fact that Panini is doing a Samasa Vidhanam means that Saptami is possible. Saptami is possible. So Aksheshu Shaundaha is a Saptami which is, addicted to drinking, skilled with. Aksha Shaundaha, one who is skilled with in something, almost addicted to something. So you can look some of these words, Pravinaha, Vyaraha, but I think most of these are already coming under the Vishaya Saptami. So I don't think this will give us anything extra beyond what we already have. The reason I'm going all this review is that because ultimately now we have to come here in the book and see which sutram we can use to justify this Saptami. So point number 3 is that with adjectives meaning skillful, well-versed, disposed, yuddhe nipunaha, mai hitaha, so favorable toward. Now this mai hitaha, already we have referred to this kind of example in this, what I said earlier in the class about mai karuna, pity towards me. So it's clearly it is Vishaya Saptami, mai Saptami. So he is well disposed towards me. So his well disposition has a substratum, the subject, in reference to. He's well. So this Vishaya Saptami can be translated in English as in reference to, the subject matter of, with regard to. So with regard to me, he's well disposed. So I think both of these can come under Vishaya Saptami itself. Could say the same thing. Adharo adhikaranam and saptamyadhikarane cha. Always any sutram. Please repeat as many times as you can. Adharo adhikaranam saptamyadhikarane cha. Adharo adhikaranam saptamyadhikarane cha. That's the best thing you can do. You repeat Pani Sutra as many times as you can. Slowly, you'll get the knowledge, the Vyakarana Naipunyam, also Saptami. So Adharo adhikaranam followed by the 2-3-36, which is Saptamyadhikarane cha. I think these will qualify in the Vishaya Saptami itself. I don't see any of the sutram specifically for these. So I think what he has done in the book is that he has put the Vishaya Saptami separately. Because in English they have different kind of connotations. So he has put a different number here. I think we have to use the same sutram. So as he says, this is what we saw earlier in the class about the Vaishayikaha Adharaha, Vaishayikaha. Vishaya Saptami. So he is skilled in war. So Nipunaha, Ayam Nipunaha, Yuddhe Vishaya. In the matter of war, he is skilled. If you can translate in English with the matter of, in the reference of, in the subject of, in reference to, then that is Vishaya Saptami. So Mai Hitaha, he is favorable to me. So, or when it comes, you can also try in English like this also. Try in English like this. When it comes to me, he is favorable. There also is a Vishaya Saptami. When it comes to war, he is skilled. So again, I mean, English is a different way of putting it in English, that's all. In the matter of, in the subject of, in reference to. So maybe I can put this in the document for today, that if you can try the English, these following phrases, and see if it fits, So Vishaya Saptami, when you say, Vishaya Saptami, Saptami, is that translate English translation will be in reference to, in regard to, in the matter of, or when it comes to. So try these phrases in English, okay? So let's try. Can we fit this one over here? What we are having now is when it comes to me, he is favorable. When it comes to war, he is skilled. So I think those will fit over there. Now again the same thing, meaning to give, to bestow. This is also depends on the vivaksha of the speaker. Vaktuhu vivaksha apekshate. So it depends what the speaker has in mind. Let's look at this example. Dhanam dridreshu vitarati. Vitru. Vitru means to distribute, to distribute. If you look at the dhatu V plus tru, I'm sorry. So, the dhatu V plus tru, if you look at, vitru is to distribute. So vitru is tru, dhatu tru. Tru is actually to cross, to swim, tarati. But vitru, I should say, is going to be, let's see, vitru. Is to cross or to give, to grant, to distribute, to vouch, to save, to produce. So that means to grant. So vitru. So it distributes wealth to the, in English, to the poor. We can also say among the poor, you can say, can't you? He distributes the wealth among the poor. Among. So among is also an adhara. So it depends on the vivaksha of the speaker. Does he want to say that he distributes? In English, you could also, both usages are fine. He distributes wealth to the poor, distributes wealth among the poor. Speaker can use either one that he wants. Same thing here is dhanam daridreshu vitarati. I think sutra drishtya, look at the sutram, there's only the same sutram. Adharo adhikaranam saptamyadhikarane cha. So that's the same sutram. So the same two. We have to just look at different kinds of adhara. As I said to you in the beginning of last class, is that that's the trick of the saptami. The various shades of adhara. And tvayi pratijane. I promise to you. I promise unto you. So this saying says tubhyam. This is saying tvayi pratijane. I make a promise with you as a subject. Means that I promise to you. Again, this is also the vivaksha of the speaker. I don't think there's any special sutram for this to the best of my knowledge. It's also a kind of adhar bheda. A promise is being made in reference to you. When it comes to you, a promise is being made. But in English, I think it would not sound very good if you say a promise is being made. I promise in reference to you. I promise with you as subject. I promise with regard to you. But that's the way in Samskritam Saptami can be used. The vivaksha of the speaker is to express this action of promising with the subject matter of the promising is the context of the promising is you. So promise is being made to you. Okay. So these 2 points from last time. Yuddhe nipunaha mahihitaha. This is Vishay Saptami clearly here. Dhanam daridreshu vitarati. This is also kind of an adhara is being used here. Tvai pratijane. This is also Vishayaha. So you are making a promise with you as subject. Okay, so this is, again, I don't think the special sutram for this, at least not in 2.3, 1.4. It will go by Shishta Prayoga ultimately, but I think Adhara Bheda should fit over here. So that completes now every vibhakti that we've done so far. So let me put this in the document and we can move on. So page 112, page 112, page 112, points number 3 and 4. Number 3 and number 4. These are also, you have to use 1445, Adhar Vadikaranam, and also use 2336. So, Sarvatra, Adhar Bheda.
So, Bishji, can one say it is essentially Kala, Desha, and Vishaya?
That's mainly the Kala, but then look at this is that, yeah, let me come to that for a second. Make it plural here. Yeah, Kala Desha, if you come back to what we are saying here, is the, back to the last lesson, is that, see, Vishaya is Vaishayikaha, we got this, right? Now, Kala Desha this comes under the Aupashleshikaha or the Abhivyapakaha. Probably Aupashleshikaha, I think, is generally, it is physically present on that, in that, or close to that. Now Kala is a tricky one, is Kala now. What do you think? Will it be Abhivyapakaha? It pervades that time. Like say, Ratriyam Sopiti, he sleeps at night. Now he's not sleeping exactly on the night physically. He's not sleeping close to the night. He's not sleeping with night as a subject. sleeping kind of pervading the time of the night, isn't it? So we can, I think maybe we can fit the kala also maybe in the abhivyapaka, couldn't we? That the action is done pervading that time. So it's not pervading a physical, but what do you think? I mean, it's not in the matter of time, in the subject of time, in reference to time. That's why it's clearly not Vishya Saptami. It's Aupashleshikaha is, as you look at the examples given. And again, this is like, like practicing law, Like I often say, Vyakaranam is like a law practice. Because you have to look at the Supreme Court cases, which is the Mahabhashyam, and of course the Kashika, Siddhanta, Kaumudi, and Shishtaha. The Shishta are Supreme Court judges. They're the Supreme Court judges of this Vyakarana Shastra, the Shishtaha. So what they rule is the law. So we have to follow that. So these are the examples given by the Supreme Court, which is Kate Aste, Rangayam Ghosha Yakurnachi. Now we have to, and other one is Tileshu Tailam. If you say Ratrayam Ratrau Swapiti, he sleeps at night. Now, which one do you think, Vasu, what you would like to use? You're a lawyer now. Which one you want to go? I would say Abhivyapaka sounds pretty good to me. That the action of sleeping, is pervades that time. It's not sitting on top of it. It's not sitting close to it.
In terms of Adhara, I thought it has to go three ways: Kala, Desha, and Vishaya.
So we say that, but really, if you look at the, what the Vyakaranas have to say, they put three categories: Aupashleshikaha, Vaishayikaha, Abhivyapakaha. So that's what the Kaumudi and the Bhasham, everything says. So we have to fit in one of, that's the Supreme Court law. We have to fit in one of these three.
Vaishayikaha is very clear. That is...
very, I mean, there are many Vedas, there are many variations of that, shades of that.
Yeah.
But I think in English it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's Vaishayikaha. No question. Aupashleshikaha has to do with the proximity in terms of space or time.
Yeah, or it can be also on top of it also. So, proximity. I don't think we have proximity when he sleeps at night. There's no proximity here.
Closeness of time, right? Yeah.
You don't like the Abhivyapakaha here? Meaning that it's
Abhivyapakaha would relate to time.
He pervades the time, right?
Pervades the time. Yeah.
Pervades the time. It's not exactly close to the time. It's not on the time. It's not in the. He pervades the time. So yeah, I mean this is the vichara. I think. So maybe then we can say this is more like a deshe, Aupashleshika. This is more like a visha. Visha is very straightforward. Abhivyapakaha can also be the the time element. I think this was just my thinking. Okay. See, when I do something on my own, I'll tell you specifically this is what I'm doing on my own. So I have not seen anybody specifically saying the kala, the kala vachak shabda, when you have saptami, that is abhivyapakaha. But sounds good to me from looking at the definitions. Okay, so think about it. So this is the vibhakti shastram is not, it's not black and white. So vichara apekshate. You have to do some thinking over here. Okay, so that completes all the vibhaktis that we studied so far. I'll give you another 2 minutes, one more synopsis. Is that, we put it like that, any vibhakti assignment, if you want to do any vibhakti vidhanam, then and you can do a lot of practice because every sentence has some vibhakti in it. So vibhakti vidhanam, you have to, 2.3. So 2.3 is done in 2.3 in the Ashtadhyaya. 2.3 of the Ashtadhyaya.
Satishji, outside the Saptami, I have one question if you can spend 1 minute on it. In Gita chapter 7, so not Vibhakti is not Saptami. Maya Saktamanaha Patha Yogam Yunjan Mat Ashrayaha. Mat Ashrayaha is Panchami.
No, it's not Panchami, it's a Samasa.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the next topic today, Vasu. So hold on to that thought for a time.
No, I was confused why Panchami is...
No, that's the compound, Madashrayaha. Is that the Maya Saktamana Pasa Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha. that's the assumption samagramam yatha nyasasi takshuno. So that is the this is the madashaya is a bahuvri compound. Aham eva ashraya yasya saha. So you who have me as your support. So
okay.
one.
I thought mat is the panchami of aham.
It can be, but it will not fit. It will not fit here vasu at all.
Okay, that's why I was confused. And in what sense it would make sense? You know?
So look at the verb nyasyasi. So in tvam, it can be only tvam. It can only have tvam as the karta of this. Ashraya is, it cannot be the karta of nyasyasi. Okay. So yes, it could have been a panchami, not knowing the context. We're going to see it in the next one lesson. So it's coming up now next soon. So hold on to that.
Sorry about
it. No, that's fine. Okay, so let's finish off this one. So any vibhakti assignment in this language is that done in 2 dots is ashtadhyay. Okay, but a lot of the sutras there depend on these rules have behind them the karaka sanya. So, the karaka sanya is done in the karaka sanyaha, I should say, and they are coming in 1-4-23 to I think 1-4-55. So you can keep this as a template for you, for any vibhakti which is in almost every sentence of the language. You have to just use this technique. And this good news is that these are short padas, not that many, not very long. So 2-3 has only 73 sutras, I think. And then the 1.4, as I told you, only about 30 odd rules from 1-4-23 up to 1-4-55 karake. Okay. So now, except for Shashti. Shashti will not come in 1.4, okay? Shashti is not a Karaka Vibhakti, except for Shashti. Except Shashti, okay? So except Shashti. Except in the case of Shashti. So you can have a fun exercise now. Is there any sentence that you see, you can try to match a sutram from 2.3 and then come to 1-4-23-55. Okay, now if none of these work, now if you have to look for, so if you don't find the answer here, if answer is not found here, then try to check also the Tatpurush Samasa section. There's a section on Tatpurush Samasa, of Tatpurush Samasa, Tatpurusha. Purusha Samasaha, which comes in 1-2-1-2-2 to 2-2-2-2. So mainly most of it actually will come only in 2-1-2-2. I think up to 2-1-50, I think 6-ish. So that is your next hope. Next hope is to find some nyapaka over there. As I said to you today, is that if Panini is doing a samasa vidhanam, tatpurvam, vibhakti vidhanam apekshate. Vibhakti vidhanam vina samasa vidhanam na sambhavati. You cannot make a samasa vidhanam if the vibhakti itself is not possible in the first place. Samasa is only compacting the vibhakti. So the vibhakti itself cannot be done. There's no question of samasa at all. So most of these come in, up to this, because from this 2-1, in fact, from 2-1-49 starts the samanadhikaran. Again, don't worry about these numbers in detail right now. We're going to be doing for the rest of the year. So it's coming from the next lesson onwards. But I'm just giving you, for the vibhakti purpose, what you can take from this section. So it comes mainly up to 2-1-48. So there are the small sections. So see if they can find something there. So from 2-1-22, which is the adhikara satpurushaha, from up to 2-1-48 is the one. Because why only 48? Because from 49 starts the samanadhikarane. Karmadharya starts from here. So apada samapte up to end of 2-1. So those will not help you. So up to 2-1-48, mainly from okay, that's your third go-to. The last thing, if none of this works, if nothing works, if these don't work, then you have to look for some nyapaka somewhere else. If these don't work, then look for nyapaka somewhere else. Nyapakam, I can say, nyapakam somewhere else, and there could be a Maybe Mahabhashyam is a good place because Mahabhashyam is a long, long text. So anything that Patanjali uses in the Mahabhashyam, that's the Supreme Court. That is the Supreme Court. So that is the Shishta Prayogaha, Shishta Sammataha Prayogaha. So as I said to you, in this language, one thing, by the way, just in 1 minute, is that everything is open to question. Everything is questionable, including Kaumudi, Kashika. Of course, they are at a very high level. To question those texts, you have to be very careful. So they take into account a lot of complicated implications. But even the Ashtadhyayi is open to question. But the Mahabhashyam, in a sense, is beyond reproach. It's difficult to question the Mahabhashyam because a number of places that Patanjali keeps topics open, he keeps up the debate. So it's almost impossible to say the Mahabhashyam is wrong in a sense. Difficult. So Mahabhashyam, so somewhere else, particularly Mahabhashyam, also Kashika Kaumudi also are there, Kashika Kaumudi, but mainly Mahabhashyam. Because Mahabhashyam is such a big text, it's kind of a long text, and every sentence is bhakti in it. So particularly Mahabhashyam, and then after that, your last hope then is that other Shishta Prayogaha. So Anya Shishta Prayogaha, which is like, Kalidasaha, Vyasaha, Shankaraha, Sridhara Swami, you can look at Bhagavad Gita, you can look at Bhagavata Puranam, you can look at Sayanacharya, Veda Bhashyam. So these are the places that you now justify. So you can look at Shishta Prayogaha, or other gate Kavi like Magha, etc. So you have to look at those. So Shishta Prayogaha. I'm sorry. Shishta Prayogaha. So that ends our study of Vibhaktis. Shishta Prayogaha. This, by the way, is the final stop. Nothing goes beyond that. Whatever the scholars ultimately decide, this is not like algebra, we have to give some leeway. So let me go through this one last time and close the topic of Vibhaktis. With any Vibhakti Vidhanam, you have to basically done in 2.3 of Ashtadhyaya. Okay. Now those use the sanyas, Karaka sanya, which are coming in 1.4. For example, very quickly, look at the Dvitiya Vibhakti. The very first sutra will be Karmani Dvitiya. Karmani Dvitiya. Now, of course, the question comes is that Karma Sanya Vishaye Jijñāsa Jayate. You have to worry what is Karma. And that will be covered in 1.4. So simple thing, Karmani Dvitiya. But then to ask what is Karma, so Kasya Karma Sanya Bhavati. So here comes is Kartuho Ipsitatamam Karma. So somewhere here you will have to find this sutram which says that here it is Karturipsitatamam Karma. That's how it goes, okay? So that's you have to find that. And then if this doesn't work for you, then you have to check if there is something in the Tatprurush Samasaha. For example, Chaturthi Vibhakti, just take Chaturthi, In Chaturthi Samasaha, Panini has put some different, again, we're going to do this in detail very shortly, so don't worry about the details right now. Chaturthi tadarthartha balihita sukha rakshitayihi. Tadartha, for the purpose of that. So Yupaya Daru. It's a word for making the sacrificial post. Now, there may not be a sutram which would give this Chaturthi Vidhanam. So this becomes a Nyapakaha. The fact that Panini says that a compound can be formed, because Nyapakaha, you can consider Bhakti from that. So maybe I can put in the brackets over here, for example, and put we can use a 2333, 2136 can be used to justify certain kinds of Chaturthi, is used to justify, very important, Chaturthi in certain cases, Chaturthi Vibhakti in certain cases. So, I'm sorry, Chaturthi. This is very important, Chaturthi Vibhakti, in many cases. Okay. Now, if that also fails, then you have to look for a Nyapakam either in Ashtadhyaya itself or Mahabhashyam or some Shishta Prayoga. So that is the template now for you. You can have a lot of fun. You can take every sentence in the language. Every sentence has some Vibhakti. Of course, many of them, many, a very large percentage will go under one or few sutras only. For example, is the Prathama Vibhakti, which you have, Prathama. There's only really one main sutram for that, which is this one. which is the in 2.3 only. So you'll have a large number of cases for the Prathama Vibhakti going under this one, which is the, so even though I'm saying you can have fun with every example, this one, Pratipadhikartha Linga Parimana Vachana Matre Prathama. You can simplify this sutram and say when something becomes abhihitam, it takes Prathama. So this sutram is Vivadagrastam, Chirakalam Vivadagrastam. It is under great dispute. But simple thing is that almost every other sentence will have a Prathama Vibhakti. They will all come under here most of the time. So even though I'm saying that you can go and search for these rules, you will find that about 80% of the cases will directly go quickly under one sutram. So anyway, so keep this template now. Start with 2.3, come to 1.4 behind it. Doesn't work, look at the Samasa Vibhaga, Tatpurush Samasa section. If that doesn't work, look for some Shishta Prayoga somewhere. And if that doesn't work, you have to make some extensions, okay? This is not going to be black and white. So that completes Vibhakti Vidhanam. If you have any questions, again, post questions, ask questions. So now we finished every Vibhakti in the language. Now we have finished that. So let's look in the rest of the lesson now. We are talking about, now we talked about pronouns. What is pronouns? What's the Paninian term for that? What is Sarvanama Shabdaha. Sarvanama Shabdaha, and then Panini has a main sutram is Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. And I hope all of you are following the examples coming to every day from the Saturday class list. We have looked at Sarvadini Sarvanamani many times. Look at it one more time. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Not to be confused with the Sarvanama Sthana Sanya. It's a completely different thing. Sarvanama Sthana Sanya comes to certain affixes. So Pratyayanam Sarvanama Sanya Vidiyate. This Sarvanama Shabdaha is talking about Pratipadikani. So Sarva, Vishwa, Ubha, Ubhaya, and so on. It goes on. And it goes all the way. So this one should be on your wall. On your Vyakarana Vittau. in your Vyakarana wall. This should be pasted there. So these are the pronouns. Sarvadini Sarvanama. It's not a big gana. It's not a long gana. It's quite short as a matter of fact. And I think it's about 35, if I'm not mistaken. I think 35 or so, only about 35 words. And with yad, tad, yad, etad, idam, adas, ekad, vi, yushmad, dasmad, bhavatu, kim. That's it. So when you say, so pronouns, sarvadini, sarvanamani, and that comes in 127. So when you say pronouns, you have to look at 1127, which is sarvadini, sarvanamani. Sarvanamani, Sarvanama Shabdaha, Sarvanam because it's English pronoun, stands for a noun. So these are standing proxy from so now, which of course immediately is an important thing to bear in mind, is that if you have any pronoun, always stop and ask which is the noun behind it. These pronouns, the adjectives don't have their own gender number case. Swakiyam, lingam, swakiya vibhaktihi. Vachanam chanasti. So, nama shabda adharena grijyante. So, these are taken from some noun. So, always, I cannot emphasize to you more. Please stop and ask which is the noun behind this pronoun. It may not be in the sentence. It might have to be supplied. It may not be obvious. It might come from prior shloka somewhere. But the bottom line is that there must be something behind it. It might be samanya also. Can be saman, you say, so atra kim vartate, what's going on here? That kim is what's we call samanya napumsakam. It's generally what? Still you have to be able to justify that is samanya napumsakam, something, that thing, what's going on here? So what is going on here? So that is what in English also is you don't say who is going on here, so what is going on here? So kim vartate. So you may have to do that, but still, even then, you have to be sure what you're talking about. Okay, so now let us go in the book and what is he talking about now? He's talking about, this is the point Vasu was just making about, the ablative singular and plural of asmad and yushmad, which is mat and asmat and twat and yushmat, are usually replaced. So this is not a nitya karyam at all. But he's absolutely right, is that 99% of the time, 99% of the time, you will not see mat, tvat, and the asmad, yushmad being used in the saptami, panchami. To express this panchami, you will 99% of the time not, nowhere in the Gita, by the way. I think it may be in the Bhagavata Puranam, maybe one or two places, maybe at the most, maybe a handful of places at the most. So look at the entire Ramayanam, Bhagavata Puranam, maybe literally handful of places. So literally, this is rule is almost, why? What is the reason for this? Atsakim karanam vartate. Okay, let's look at one sutram for this. Okay, let's look at this sutram, which is to appreciate this. Again, this is not a sutram. This is not a hard and fast rule. This is usage. So what's called the abhidhanam. Abhidhanam is a technical term for usage. Abhidhanam. Abhidhanam is usage. Look at this sutram, which says pratyaya uttarapadayoscha. Pratyaya padayoscha. What is this sutram saying now? Let's look at that. Look at this sutram, 7298. And why do we need this sutram right now? Let's look at this one, 7298. Now you can appreciate why this usage is like that. Is that the this mat, tvat, and the yushmat, asmat is not used. These panchamis are not used. So 7298, it says that pratyaya uttarapadayoscha eka vachane iti anuvartate. Is that pratyaya uttarapade cha parataha eka vachane. This is only explained the eka vachanam. Okay. Vartamanayoho yushmadasmadoho ma paryantasya tva ma iti etau adeshau bhavataha. Okay, one more time. Is that when you have a pratyaya following, or if you have a uttarapada. Uttarapada means has to be a compound. Samase eva uttarapadam sambhavati. So when in a compound, what happens is that the ma paryantasya. Ma paryantasya means you say yushmad, yushma. So what happens is that uttarapade sati. When you have an uttarapadam, and if you're talking about eka vachanam, uttarapade, so 7298, 7298 is that uttarapade, pratyaya uttarapadayoscha. Any new sutram, repeat 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 times. Pratyaya uttarapadayoscha. Okay, so uttarapade sati. Uttarapade. What happens is that the ma paryantasya, up to ma. So ma paryantasya. Asmad yushmadoho. So asmad shabdasya, yushmad shabdasya cha. What happens is that gets the ma and tva adeshaha. Ma and tva adeshaha. So asmad and yushmad. So they take a adeshaha, which is of course aneka ashis sarvasya. Aneka, any adeshaha, immediately think of 1152 alone tyasya. This should be now second nature for you. You heard me say this many times already. Is adesha means right away you should say alone tyasya, 1152. But there is apavada for that, which is 1155. Aneka ashis sarvasya. The ma is aneka adesha, makara akaraha. Of course, tva also is takara, vakara, akara, samudayaha. So you can, so they are going to replace asmad, mo paryanta. So the asma, and the yushma are going to take the mo and tva adeshaha. So yushmat shabdasya, shabdasya. So you get the ma tva adeshaha. Ma tva adeshaha. Say adeshaha. So what happens is that, let's take Gita example, okay? Gita example, right? Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyaji ma namaskaru. Mame vaishyasi comes in 2 chapters of Gita. In chapter 9, last shlokaha, also comes in chapter 18. It is chapter 18, comes towards the end there also, which is that the Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyaji ma namaskaru. Mame vaishyasi Satyante Patijane Priyosime. That comes in the 18th chapter. And in the 9th chapter, last shloka, it comes, Manunabho Madbhakto Madhyajima Namaskaru Mame Vaishyasi Yuktvaivam Atmanam Matparayana. For those of you who chant Gita, you will know this. You will know this because it's like a snake and ladder. You can go from one to another, from one to there. So what happens is that the ma paryantasya, so it gets the tva adesha, and then what happens is that ma paryantasya, you get the ma adesha. So you say man manava madbhakto, madbhakta. Take simple example. Okay, you say madbhakta. So you can start with asmad. Madbhakta, of course, straightforward means mama bhakta. You can say. So you can say mai bhakta also is possible. Devotion towards me. We just saw that Vishay Saptami. So either way, take my devotee. So devotee can say sambandha. Also take Vishayaha. So you can say mad bhaktaha, mad putraha. What do you say? So we say asmad, plus you can say either nyas. Let's keep it simple. Maybe nyas. And then make it, again, don't worry about details too much. It will be samasa, going to be coming for the rest of the year. There's plenty of practice for this. So asmat plus nyas, and then use any simple bhaktaha putra, what you want to use. So so you click like that, mat plus putra. Now what happens is that because you have this, the vivaksha is ekavachane. So we're talking about a singular mat. Now why has this practice come into being? Simply because it is important to know whose bhakta is it. Is it mine or is it everybody's? You say madacharya, asmadacharya. So mat is reserved only for the ekavachane. When the usage is in the singular, then only this ma adesha takes place. Similarly for the tva adesha. Because what happens is that in the samasaha, this vibhakti, the antarvartini vibhakti. So so tasyaha luk bhavati, that this becomes luk. So now you do not know when you say mad bhaktaha. If you say asmad putraha, you do not know whose it is. You can say asmad pustakam. It could be anybody's book, all of our book. But when you say mad pustakam, it has to be only my book, only my book. So it is very important to distinguish whether it is whose it is. It is mine individually or everybody's, or more than two. If it's yours individually or somebody. Madaparadha. Madaparadha means my fault. You see, asmadaparadha, it's not only mine, it's not everybody. So bottom line is that when this happens, is that first of all, again, don't worry about the details. This thing is the Pratipadika Sanya, Sutram which you know, Kritadita Samasascha. And the Vibhakti takes look by Sutram, which is the Supo Dhatu Pratipadika Yoho. Just take these two steps for the time being. I just accept them. So this nyas takes lopaha. And then what happens is that this asmad, because Uttarapada is following here. So this nyas vibhakti is going to go away. It gets the pratipadika sanya by krit tadita samasascha, which bhavantaha sarve jananti. You all know the sutram, krit tadita samasascha. Then supo dhatupadika pratipadika yoho, which we kind of skip over for today. We see it in detail later on with simple sutram. Inside a pratipadikam, inside a dhatu, a sup cannot stay. It takes look, the entire thing is lost. But now what happens is that the mo paryantasya, so that this asmad, asma, so the asma, so what we can split like this, we can make it asma plus the ad plus the putraha. Now this ma paryantasya takes the ma adeshaha. So it becomes ma followed by this, and then with atogune, which of course all of you know. So this is the 7298. Pratyuttarapadayoscha, pratyottarapadayoshcha, 7298, and then we could be using the atogune. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know typo. Sorry. Okay. So atogune becomes mat, and then of course kharicha. Atogune kharicha will make it into matputraha. Now we'll look at what has happened is now. Now, as Vasu said, you don't know whether we are talking about a panchami mat, so are you talking about a samasaha? There's a confusion which comes in here. Of course, I'll decline it now, matputraha, so we can use the atogune and the kharicha. Of course, then bring it to Suprabhakti, etc. So 412, etc. And then, of course, bring in the Kharicha. So this is the problem. The problem is that now, because Asmad has become Mat, similarly Tatputra, and Yushmat Putraha, Tatputraha, similarly Tatputraha, your son, similarly. Now, before we go ahead, similarly Tatputraha, what happens is Yushmat becomes Tva, when it is Ekavachane. So we talk about Ekavachanam. So Tatputraha, your son, means singly yours only, not anybody else's. Now, what happens is, what if it is a like Asmadacharya, our Acharya? What would have happened here? We follow the same steps. You can say, you can take Asmad instead of putting Nyas, you can put Am, or put Os, which means that, if we can, two of us or many of us. So Asmad Os Acharya, or Asmad Am Acharya. Again, the same thing. Krutabdha Samasascha. Then do the Supo Dhatu Pradipadikayoho, and you can get again Asmadacharya. So there no need of, because the 7298 is only for Ekavachane. If it's not Ekavachane, we still have the same problem, because after doing Supluk, we come out with the Asmadacharya, etc. and Yushmadacharya. So this, in that case also we have the same problem. Only thing we're not using this 17298. But the problem is still there, which is in usage like this, Asmadacharya. We are basically using, Asmad plus Os or Asmad plus Am, anything except Ekavachanam. If it's Dvivachanam or Muvachanam, then we get the same issue, which is that you have the Pratipadikam inside. Now, as a general rule, remember this, even though we're not talking about compound in detail today, is that how do you know something is in a compound? Very simple, fundamental question. Samasantargatam asti va atva pruthak padam asti va katham nyayate? How do you know? Vibhaktehe luk asti chet. If the vibhakti has taken luk, then you know, supluk I should say, supaha, luk asti chet, tarhi nyayate, samasantargatam padamiti. By the fact that we say Kashi Rajascha Viryavan, Kashi Rajaha, but that Kashi has, that the vibhakti is lost over there. That's how you know that Kashi is inside the compound. Now, the problem comes is that when you have a Pratipadikam, which is the same as some vibhakti, Subantam form, the Pratipadikam Subantancha, Yadi Ekarupam Bhavati, so Samanrupam Bhavati Chet, Tarhi Sandeha Jayate. You can say this is in the compound or not. When you say, for example, when you say Pruthak Karanam, making separate. Pruthak is an avyam. Every avyam you will have that, by the way. In every avyam you will have this problem, because avyas lose their vibhakti by the avyadap supaha. So now you do not know whether the avyam is inside the compound or outside the compound. So here, because Asmad, the Panchami of Asmad is same as Asmad, Panchami of Yushmad is same as Yushmad. Again, this is one place in the Ashtadhyayi where we do not look at the sutras in detail, because there are many rules in Ashtadhyayi which talk about, this sutram Sheshe Lopaha. This Sheshe Lopaha is the one which calls. Let's look at it for one second. Even though we don't look at these, and reason because there are many rules in Ashtadhyayi to derive the form for Asmad Yusmat. It is not very efficient. This is the one place in the Ashtadhyayi where I would not recommend, because there are about whatever 8, I think, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 rules to derive the Asmad Yushmat Rupani. So it doesn't give you that much bang for the buck at all, because, Prasiddha Rupani. And another thing is that Etani Sutrani Anyatra na prayujyante. The sutras which are used for Asmad Yushmat are not used anywhere else. So given the fact that they're only for Asmad Yushmat, doesn't pay to know the sutras that much, okay? But this is a sutram Sheshe Lopaha. So Sheshe Bhaktau Yushmat Asmadoho Lopa Bhavati. So Yatra Akara Yakarna Vihita. So this is different. So so this Twatmat, etc. These forms come by 7290. So 7290 is causing the Lopaha of that Vibhakti also. So 7290 is being used. 7290 is being used to derive the Panchami forms, and that is doing Lopa. The Panchami forms, which is the Mad and Asmad. So unfortunately, there also the Twad, there is a Lopa taking place. So Twad and Yushmad, Twad Yushmad. So this is what's the confusion. So now the result is that is why in the book you see, and is absolutely correct, is that these forms are not used very often. The Panchami forms are not used because now you do not know whether you're in a compound or not. We say Mad Bhaktaha, like Vasu was saying in 7.1, Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashrayaha. So is Mad is Panchami, or is it a compound here? You do not know, only from the context. But to avoid this confusion, and because it's a very common word in the whole language, probably the most common pratipadikam in the whole language, right? Is Asmad Yushmad. So there'll be confusion galore if you don't follow this convention. It's only a convention. There's no sutram for this. Is that to avoid confusion with compounds. Again, this is not, I've not read this somewhere, but I think this makes logical sense to me. Is to avoid confusion with compounds, these forms are not used. So that's the bottom line, to avoid confusion with compounds. So the gist of the whole thing, which is that to avoid confusion with compounds, confusion with compounding. These forms are not used. These Panchami forms are not used. Are almost never used. Almost never used. Okay. So again, one more time, briefly, is that of course because Asmad Yushmad, the Pratipadikam itself, when they go into compounds, Asmad Yushmad will be the form. We also have a special sutram. If you have Ekavachane, and Ekavachane makes it also Mat and Tvat, which are also the same forms as Panchami Ekavachanam. So regardless whether you have Ekavachanam, Atva Divachanam, Atva Bhavachanam, Sandhya Bhave Deva, it will cause a confusion. That's what it is. Then what forms are used then? Let's look at the book. Let's follow in the book. Is that the forms are synonymous, let's hold on to it for a second, with the tas pratyaha, which mattaha, asmattaha, tvattaha, yushmattaha. Comes in Gita. Mattah parataram nanyad, kinchidasya dhananjaya. Then tvattah kamalapatraksha, tvattah kamalapatraksha. So both come in Gita. Mattah parataram nanyad, kinchidasya dhananjaya. Maisaramidam protam sutre manigana iva. Chapter 7. Mattah comes in Gita. Mattah parataram nanyad, kinchidasya dhananjaya. There's nothing superior to me. There's nothing higher than me. I can see nothing different from me also. Mattaha. Then also comes in chapter 11. Tattah kamalapatraksha mahatmyapi chavyayam. Again, please keep chanting the Gita, even if you do nothing else, because a lot of the Vyakaran Shastram you can learn, it is Sugama Prakarena. Very easily you can learn. Tattah. So Tattah, I've heard from you. From you I've heard. This is something I've heard. Tattah. Okay. Now how are these forms coming about? So this is a section. We are jumping now. We are jumping from, this is a strange lesson we have here, because first we are talking about the Yanganta Prakriya, which is the Tinganta Prakaranam. Then we are talking about the Vibhakti Vidhanam, Vibhakti Prakaranam, Karaka Prakaranam. Now we are talking about, we talked about Samasas a little bit, and now we are talking about Tadditas. So different topics, Ashtadhyayi wise, but he's put in one lesson here. Anyway, so Mattaha. Now let us look at a couple of things here. Firstly is that there is a very famous Suprasiddha Pratyaya Tasil iti vartate. The very famous Pratyaya called Tasil. This Panchamyas Tasil. Now let's look at, we have to be a bit careful about this. The Panchamyas Tasil. Can we use this sutram here, Panchamyas Tasil? We have a Panchami. To express the Panchami, Tasil can be used. Panchamya Swarte. Panchamyantam when you have, you can use Tasil. So we can use a Pratyaya example. We can use a thing like we have a Pratyaya is, let's take a quick example of Panchamyas Tasil. Let's take the example Tataha. From that also means then, Tata Anantaram. in English means then, because, but Tataha really is the Panchami. So if Pratipadikam Tad, Tad when you take Panchami, put the Pratyaya Nyasi over there, Panchami. I'm sorry, Nyasi. Nyasi. And then after that you can use the Pratyaya, the Tasil. Of course in Tasil, as usual, the by now should be very easy for you, is the Harantyam Upadesha Jananasika It Anubandha Lope Tas, which is Upadesha Jananasika It Harantyam, to be straightforward. No technical term should be used until you strip out the packaging from that. Okay, so Tas, and now what happens is that again this gets a Pratipadika Sanya by Krit Tadhita Samasascha. We use the same sutram back here we used, because we had a samasa over here. Now we have a Tadhita, because Yadika of Tadhita goes from where to where? From 4.176 to end of the 5th chapter. Always keep the Ashtadhyayi map in front of you. Always, always, always. Nobody does it nowadays. Almost nobody does that. But please, please try to keep the Ashtadhyayi in front of you at all times, because that is the Moola Shastram. So that is the, the Acharya Ukta, that's what Panini has said. So that we should always keep that. So because Tadhitaha goes from 4.176, Tadhitaha to end of the 5th chapter. So this Tasil has a Tadhita Sanya, Pratyasya, then Krutadhita Samasascha. So sutram we are using here is this. Now again, we're not doing what's in the book right now. I'm just taking the Pratipadikam Tat for the time being. Why am I taking Tat and why not Asmad or Yushmad right now? I'll tell you in a second why Tat. Because, but I'll tell you right now why Tat. Because if you look at the Sutram 5.3, but this is a very important section of Tadhitas, by the way. This section 5.3 is very important, which is the Pragdesha Bhakti. This section in the 5.3 is a very important section, where very very well known Tadhita forms can be found here. Okay, so because Tadhita is more than 1,000 rules. After that, you want to pick out the ones which are used most often, and this is one of them. This is one of them, which is called Pragdesha Vibhakti. These pratyas also get the Vibhakti Sanya, by the way. Very important is these pratyas up to the word dish get the Sanya of Vibhakti. So Vibhakti is not just the sup and ting pratyaya. It's not only that, because these pratyas also get the Sanya of Vibhakti, Pradesha Vibhakti. So that is up to the 5.3.27. So these also get Vibhakti Sanya. Anyway, the one we're looking at right now is Panchamyas Tasil. The question that we have is can we use this sutram to get our job done right now? And the answer is no, but I'll tell you why. Panchamyas Tasil is Panchamyantebhya Kim Sarva Nama Bahubhya Tasil Pratyaya Bhavati. Okay. Now, what the problem is here is that this Tasil is only prescribed after the Shabda Kim and Sarvanama Shabdaha up to the Dvi, Dvi. Because this one, if you go back here, it says Kim Sarvanama Bahubhya Advyadibhya. Advyadibhya. That's the most important thing over here. That 5.3.2 is saying that is these pratyaya coming below that is Advyadibhya. Remember I told in the beginning of the class is look at 1.127. When you talk about pronouns, this sutram should be on your wall. 1.127. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Especially the last part of Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Let me see, can I use this document? Give me 1 minute. Okay? I'm trying to use this document, which Kalpesh has put this document. It's a nice document. Okay, Sarvadini Sarva. Let me increase the font for you. Okay. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. And they go up to this one. Sarvadini Sarvanamani. Sarvadini. See, up to, see, it says up to Tyad, Tad, Yad, Etad, Idam. There's some typos here. Adas Ekadvi Yushmad Asmad Bhavatu Kim. So Dviparyantasya. So you cannot use this one after Yushmad Asmad Bhavatu Kim. But then Pani says kim also can be included, because the sutram here says that what you're talking about here is the sutram says that this kim sarvanama bahubhya, kim. So kim is allowed. Kim can come in there again, which is because it says viparyantasya. So basically what is Panini excluding here is that this yushmad asmad bhavatu, they cannot take this pratyaya which are given in this section. He says viparyantanam, so up to dvi, but then he also puts back the kim in there. So kim also is allowed, but not the yushmad asmad bhavatu. And the one that we are talking about right now is if you talk about yushmad asmad. So don't just blindly say, because the temptation is to blindly say, panchamyas tasil, and just keep on doing it. Always check the vritti. Always check the vritti what it is saying. Because kim sarvanama bahubhyaha, advidyadibhya is coming down here. If you look at one, so the panchamyas tasil is the one, it says, panchamyantebhya kim sarvanama bahubhyas tasil vartate. So we cannot use this one for deriving the form mattaha or svattaha, which says adviyadibhya, 432. But we can use it with the pratipadikam tad. So let's finish an example. This tat plus myasi plus tasil. Now we are using this panchamyas tasil, 537. Let's finish this form. So just to get a flavor of the tasil pratyaha. And now we get the vibhakti sanya for this one also by 531. Pragdisho vibhaktihi, pragdisho vibhaktihi. Again, any new sutram, repeat 5-10 times. Pragdisho vibhaktihi, 531. Very important section of Tadvitas. Please mark this on your Ashtadhyayi. You will need this a lot, because words like tatra, atra, tada, kada, yada, many of these come in this section below here also. So, okay. So now what happens is that we get the Paripadika Sanya by Krit Samasascha. Then we get the Supo Dhatu Paripadika Yoho, so Supluk. In the meanwhile, what happens, because Tasila Vibhakti Sanya, Chadadinamaha. Chadadinamaha. I think all of you should know this one. You must have heard this many times. Chadadinamaha. 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 So what do we use? We use the we use the Krit Tadita Samasascha, because Taditaha being Tadita Adhikaraha, and because Tasil Pratyasya Tadita Sanya Bhavati. So then etasya samudayasya pratipadika sanya bhavati. So antarvartinaha supo luk bhavati. So it takes the card sup from inside there. And then because of the pragdisha vibhaktihi, so tasil pratyasya vibhakti sanya bhavati. Chadadinamaha. 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 That is God. And of course then after you can use the atogune, and then of course sasajusho ruho karavasana yor visarjaniyaha. With the form tataha visarjaniya. So ato gune, and then do the yushrutruto visarga. So 8266 now, and use 8350. Now this thing we could not use for yushmad asmad. So what do we do now? How do we get the form mattaha and tvattaha, which we have in Gita? Okay, so what you do is that there's another pratyaya called tasi, not tasil, pratyaya tasi. And there are two rules for that. In fact, here, which is that the, in fact, interesting, let's look at the sutram quickly, is 538 is saying that tasescha. So when you have this kim or sarvanama bahubhyaha, the tasi pratyaya becomes replaced by tasil. So that's for, for the Vedic swaras and all that, not important. But the important thing is, what I'm saying is that there's another pratyaya called tasi. That tasi becomes tasil in the case of this kim sarvanama bahubhyaha. But because advyadibhyaha, we cannot use any of these things from this section for yushmad asmad. But then we can go to 5444 and 5445. There are two rules, which says pratiyoge panchamyas tasihi. Then apadane chahiya ruhoho. Okay, these sutras are not very well known, but they are very important. They're very important because the pratyaya, like we say word like vastutaha, paramarthataha, all this, how would you justify all this tas coming over here? Because they are not kim sarvanama or bahu. So this is a very important, is that, let's look at 5444, 45. This is what we are going to need in this to justify this form mattaha and tvattaha, asmattaha and yushmattaha. Okay. So let us derive these forms now. Let's look at. I wanted to show you that panchamya tasil, why it doesn't work for us. And now let's go to these two. Let's see. So 5444. 5444, which says that, which is not very useful for us directly, but it's important vartikam on it, by the way. Important vartikam. By the way, one more thing is that, before I go ahead, when I was talking about all this vibhakti vidhanam back here, I mean, of course, you understand that you have to look at the vartikams also. You know, I mean, when I say rules only from this to this and this and all that, includes the vartikani. Okay, I mean, that's understood. So not only the sutras, because there are some very important vartikani on that. Very important vartikams are contained in that. Okay, so this includes all the vartikani also. Anyway, so coming to 5444, what we need is that the sutram is not very useful to us, because sutram says pratiyoge panchamya. In the pratiyoge, when somebody is a representative or a kind of counterfeit, or kind of an exchange, of something else, which is a very rare meaning. We don't have it most of the time. So the sutram is really not very useful for us. The pratinidhi, So tadyumnaha vasudevataha pratihi. Like he's like a representative or an exchange, from pratinidhi. But then he says that there is a very good vartikam in here. Tasi prakarane adyadibhya upasankhyanam. This is what is called as the sarvabhaktiko tasihi. Sarva vibhaktiko tasihi. Means that tas pratya can be used not only in panchamya, but it can be used after any vibhakti, after any pradipadikam. Of course, shishta prayogas. So it says adau is aditaha. Adau. Adi pratipadikam. Look at this samasa. Adyadibhya. So adi, etc. Adi. Adyadibhya. This is a bahuri compound, of course. So adihi yesham te. Adyadaya. Means the words adi, etc. would be with adi. Again, this is akriti ganaha. Akriti ganashchayam. Which means that, akritya ganyate. Which if you see a pratyaya tas being used, tasi being used, which is not coming in panchamyaha, not coming out panchami, then this is the vartikam which you need, which is called the sarva vibhaktiko tasi vibhaktikaha. Sarva vibhaktikaha means that it is used after to stand after any vibhakti. Okay, so when you say like swarataha dushtaha, swarataha, from the standpoint of swaraha, this mantra dushtaha mantra means it is incorrect. There is an error in this mantra from the standpoint of from swarataha. So swarena, look at swarena. So you can stand for titiya, etc. So this is the one which is called, which is a very important vartikam. Very important vartikam. Is tasip prakarane adyadibhya upasankhyanam. This is the vartikam on 5444. Please highlight this one. Please highlight this, because there are many. This tasi is a very common pratyaha. It's a very common pratyaha, which is, this is the vartikam on 5444, which is what is referred to as. So when the commentator, when Malinatha somebody says as sarva vibhaktikaha, vibhaktikaha, tasi. So this tasi can be used after any vibhakti. So that can always be used. So we can use what we have in the lesson right now. We can use this mattaha, tvattaha, all that. But there's also a next sutram, which is, this is a vartikam. As far as possible, sutram prayoktavyam, yavat shakyam. Sutram prayoktavyam. Take a sutram as far as possible, not the vartikam. So what does the next sutram say? Apadane cha ahiya ruhoho. So barring these terms hiya and ruha, this dhatu oha kyage hiyate, and ruha is to ascend. Just leave this for time being. There are specific exclusions. The exclusions for this, oha kyage and for ruha is to ascend. When these two, so when this word hi or ruha is being used, then you do not use this. But apadane cha, apadane ya panchami tasyaha panchamyaha va tasif tatyaya bhavati tachet apadanam hiya ruhoho sambandhi na bhavati. So now any apadhanam, now this is not limited to, it's not limited to the kim sarvanama bahubhya. This is now for any pradipadikam. So now we could use the asmad yushmat and we can bring in the pripratyaya tas, tasi to be exact, as long as apadane panchami. If you have apadane panchami, then this sutram 5445 can be used to bring in the tasi pratyaya after asmad or yushmat. If it's not apadane panchami, if you have any other vibhakti or panchami which is not apadane, then you have to use the vartikam on 5444. So if you have apadane panchami, of course barring these two, he and ruha, those are not very common, so we leave those for time being. So okay. So in the case of apadane panchami, panchami apadane, now let me just put this in document. So in the case of panchami apadane, apadane panchami, panchami, we can use 5445 after any pradipadikam. Doesn't say which pradipadikam. So you can use 5445 to bring in the tasipatyaya. So that is the thing. Tasipatyaya. Now any other case, means any other vibhakti or any other type of panchami, we have to use the above vartikam. Okay. So what is apadane panchami? Refresh our memory. What is apadane panchami? Is that again back to our lesson earlier for today, which is where is the apadana sanya defined by Panini? It will be a karaka sanya, so it will be coming in 1423 onwards up to 1455. So karake, and it says dhrumapaye padanam. When there is a separation from a point, something is separating out. Dhruvampaye, from there's a fixed point, the reference point, something is separating out, moving out. For example, you can say Shikharad patati, he falls from the cliff. So Shikharam, that is the reference point. Somebody is falling from there. The reference point doesn't have to be a fixed point. You can say Dhavataha, Ashvat patati, he falls from a running horse. The horse is not fixed, he's moving himself, but doesn't matter. Somebody is falling away from the horse. The horse is the reference point. So this is called apadanam. Dhruvampaye padanam. And then, of course, which we have seen in the class today, I think I drilled you many times now, is after that we have to go to 2.3 and see where Panini does the vibhakti vidhanam. So in here, Panini will say is that apadane panchami. I think I passed it. Apadane panchami. Here it is 2328. Apadane panchami. So this kind of panchami is being used, right? Then you can use 5445. But now, look at the Gita which we just saw right now. Mattas parataram nanyat. So anya. So anya is being used now. So it doesn't look at, so this is not apadane panchami. It's not like something is separating out, moving away from something else. So Sri Krishna is saying that there is nothing superior than me, greater than me, parataram. There's nothing greater than me. So that greater than. So that is not really like a physical separation going with a reference point, is it? So anya is given in 2329. So bottom line is that anything except apadane panchami, you have to go to the vartikam on 5444. Apadane panchami, you can use 5445. So let's look at 5440. Look at 2329. This is an example of that. So 2329, and this is probably more detailed than you want, but this one is a very important concept of the sarva vibhaktikaha tasihi. Okay, that's the main thing, is that remember that phrase, remember that Svartikam, because it is, so you can say Devadattat Arthagrahanam. So it says Anyaha Devadattat. So Mattaha Anyat. So different than me. Mattah Parataram Nanyat. Parataram. Not only that, when Tarap and Tamap is being used, when we talked about when Tarap and Tamap is being used, so Panchami can be used. So what I'm saying is that you have to find out if the Panchami is in Apadane. If it is, then only you can use 5-4-45 to bring in a Tasi Pratyaha. If not, go to the Vartikam. Which any other Vibhakti, of course, there's no question of 5-4-45. You have to use the 5-4-44 Vartikam. So, just give you one more example, then we'll move on with that. In fact, talk about Mattaf Parataram Nanyad. Is that, we are looking at this, in fact, this one is Panchami Vibhakti. So than me. So if it says, look at, we all looked at, I think last class, if we looked at this, 2-3-42. 2-3-42 is that it's compared with two groups. When they compare than, so Yatash Nirdharanam. So Nirdharanam, separation between two groups, two parts, when there are only two, not one from a group, but between two. So it says, Mathuraha, Patali Putrakebhya, Sukumar Taraha. So these people of Mathura are more delicate. And Ajyataraha, they are more wealthy, they have more wealth than the people of Pataliputra. So this is Mattaf Parataram Nanyad, Parataram, so than me, greater than me, someone greater than me. So you can also look at the Sutra Panchami Bhakti. So if it's not Apadani, then we have to use 5-4-45. Okay, so I put that in document. So Mattaf Parataram Nanyat, Gita, chapters, I think 7.7 it is, I believe. So Mattaha in chapter. Let's take an example. So we start with the Prajapadikam Asmat. We start with Asmad. And then we look at the Panchami, which is in the Ekavachanam, Nyasi Pratyaha, and then we use the Pratyaya Tasi Pratyaya, of course, Anubandha Lope Tas, and this I'm using now the 5-4-44 Vartikam, because this I don't think it is Apadane Panchami. There's no physical separation going on here. As long as it's Apadana Panchami, there's no way out. You really have to go to this Vartikam. Okay? So let me highlight this. Let me highlight this one. So this Vartikam 15444 is the Sarvatra. So let me highlight this one. Okay? So please make a note of this. Make a note of this one. Very common usage. Very common usage. Like you say, Vastutaha, in reality. Very common usage, Vastutaha. Now, Vastutaha, how do you get the tasil from? From where? It's not Kim Sarvanama Bahu Shabda, it's not there. It's not Apadane Panchami, it's not separation. So you come out to this sutram again. Okay, so Asmad Nyasi. So then we use that. Again, in the book, he's not given all these details. Okay, in the book, he has not given all these. All he has said is that Pratyaya Tas is used to give these forms. Okay, so that's all he has given. He has not given anything more. But just give you some background on that. Because these classes we record only one time, So when the class is recorded, we have more details. So whoever wants to go to more details can look at this and go in more detail. Because the recording thing is that you have to be careful, because you don't want to lose too many points. Because people download recordings more than they come to class. So okay. So what if you're talking about Mattaha and Gita, we go through the same steps which we had here. We use that 7-98 Pratyottara Padayoscha, make the Maparyantasya, because this is in Ekavachane, because this Nyasi is there, so make it Maparyantasya, Maparyantasya, make it the Ma Adesha. So we get Ma Ad, meanwhile remove the Nyasi by Sukho Dhatu Padipikayoho, and then of course we have the Anubandha Lope Tas. So what have we done here? Then Kruttadita Samasascha, and we have also done the Supo Dhatu Padipikayoho. Trust me, by the middle of this year, you will know these two rules even in your sleep. You really will. These two. Krittadita samasascha supo dhatu pradvidikayoho. How will you know that when you are asleep? Because every samasa, every single samasa, unless you have aluk samasa, which are pretty rare, you have to use these two. Every single compound. So no matter what compound you have, you get the Prajapadika Sanya and Supo Dhatu Prajapadika Yoho Supluk. So these two are going to be ingrained in your brain very shortly. So if you don't understand them today, don't worry about it. They're coming soon. So then we also use 7298, which is going to be the Pratyotara Padayoscha. I think those are the main ones. And of course, then we do the usual. We make it the like we did over here. We did over here. So let's take all these sutras from here and copy that, and we'll do the Atagune. This akara pura puryoho ekadesha is the pararupam ekadesha, and then do the kharicha, and also we need the sasajusho ruhu and karavasana visajaniyaha mattaha. So this is how the form mattaha comes after all this. Mattaha comes from this place. Mattaha parataram nanyat. One more thing, by the way. One more thing I should mention while we are doing all of this is that, remember our 5 Panchasutri, the Panchasutri set of 5 sutras, which defined the Avyaya Sanya. Avyaya Sanya, always have the Ashtadhyayi map in your head and keep this thing. My hope is that after mentioning these, many times, you recall some of these. Swaradi Nipatam Avyayam, Taditascha Sarva Bhaktihi. This is a sutram by which, again, let's not go in details today, but this sutram gives the Avyaya Sanya, because this is a Pratipadikam. You have to bring in the Pratyaya Sup, etc. But Taditascha Sarva Vibhaktihi. So again, not going in details today. Let me put it briefly for like this. Tadita Pratyaya has some of them. They create Avyayani, okay? And Tasi is one of them. Tasi is one of them. So by 1138, we get the Avyaya Sanya. So Avyaya Sanya by 1138. And then of course we have to do the Avyaya Rapsupaha. Avyaya Rapsupaha Supluk. Because you're wondering why we're not declining this. Because of the Avyaya Sanya. Taditascha Sarva Vibhaktihi. So Avyaya Sanya is got by 1138, and then we use the Avyaya Rapsupaha, Supluk, Avyaya Rapsupaha, which is where after any Avyayam, the Sup takes look, Avyaya Rapsupaha. So Avyaya Rapsupaha. Okay, so this is how the form Matta is derived. One more time is that we had a Nasi Pratyaya, but this is not in the sense of Apadani, sense of physical separation from a fixed point. So we have to use 5444 Vartikam, because 5445 is only for Apadani Panchami. And then, we got the Ma Adesha by 7298, Pratyotara Padayoscha, and then we got, of course, Apogune, and the usual Supluk, and then we used Kharicha, and then we also got the Avyaya Sanya, Vataditascha Sarva Vibhaktihi, and then the Avyaya Rapsupaha. Similarly, you can derive the forms similarly. Anineva Prakarena. Similarly, you can get the forms Tvattaha, also Asmattaha. In case of Asmattaha, Yushmattaha, you don't need 7298, because 7298 is only for Ekavachane, only sense of Ekavachanam. So Asmattaha, Yushmattaha, you don't need. Asmattaha, Yushmattaha, you don't need the, I'm sorry, Yushmattaha. So in the latter two don't require, latter two don't use 7298. Rest of it is the same. So you use 7298. Okay. So that is that part of the lesson which is on this page. So the ability singular and plural of Asmat Yushmat, which is Mat, and Asmat Tvat and Yushmat, are usually replaced because of the to avoid confusion with samasaha. Synonyms because they are used in the Panchami is being used because the 5-4-44 is talking Panchami Bhakti. Sorry, no. 5-4-44. 5-4. Also Panchami is there, but in the wrong place. So 5-4-44, we can use the Panchamyastati. Vartikam. So 5-4-44 Vartikam. So that's what we did. Then we got Asmattaha, Yushmattaha. And now the next part, what he's saying is that Bhavat, honorific form Bhavat. Again, those of you who are following the examples in Saturday class list, please follow them. I know we are all busy, but if you can, we already covered the Pratipadikam Bhavat in the last Saturday class, which is derived in two ways. The Sarvanama Shabda Bhavat is derived from the Dhatu Bha. Bha Deeptau. Bha means shine. So Bha. Plus the Pratyaya Davatu. So Bha plus Davatu gives the Pratipadikam Bhavat. Bha plus Davatu gives the Pratipadikam. This is the Sarvanama Shabda Bhavat. Also Shatranta Shabda Bhavat, the Dhatu Bhu means being. That's not a Sarvanama Shabda. The Sarvanama Shabda Bhavat is derived from the Dhatu Bha using the Pratyaya Davatu. The Sarvanama Shabda Bhavat. So that in the towards the end of 112 it says so become Bhavatu Kim. This is the second last member of the Sarvadini Sarvanama. It's the second last one in that list. Okay, second last one. So it is derived from the dhatu, from the Bha dhatu. Dhatu Bha Deepto with the Pratyaya Davatu using Davatu Pratyaya. Davatu. Again, we already covered this in the Saturday class list, so I won't go into much detail. Davatu Pratyaya. Okay, so if you want to quickly do this, what happens? You get T lopaha, so you get Bha plus Davatu. Davatu Anubandhan lope avat because of Chutu. And Upadesha Ajunanasika it Anubandhalope. So you make it Avad. This should again the technical term. This should be now very automatic for you. This it's sanya and tasya lopaha. Bhavaram abhyastam asmabi. Bhavaram abhyastam. You say it many times, so this is all going to be like that. And then only thing we need is a T lopaha. So what happens is that Sutram Tehe. With the Vyakhyanam on that, we get the T lopaha. It becomes Bha, just Bha plus Avatta. So T lopaha. So T lopaha. By 6-4-143, Vyakhyanam. Vyakhyanam. I'll tell you why Vyakhyanam. Because of the fact, so this is the T lopaha. T lopaha. Of course, Achontyadi T. The T bhaga of the dhatu bha was the akaraha. That takes lopaha. That's T lopaha. I'm sorry. T lopaha. Okay. T lopaha. And we need the Vyakhyanam on that. The Vyakhyanam which says that, and let's go, why do we need the Vyakhyanam for that? Because Vyakhyanam. Because of the fact that this is the Bhasya Adhikaraha. If you remember your section of the Ashtadhyayi, you may recall that this Bhasya Adhikara starts from 6-4-129, Apada Samaptehe, Chaturtadhyayasya Samapti Paryantam, Bhasyati Adhikara Vartate, Tatra Idam Sutram Patitam, Tehe iti, Angasya Bhasanya Apekshate, Atra Bhasanya Nasti, Yataha Bha iti Dhatuhu. So Davatu Pratyaya Swadishu na vartate. It's not in the Swadi. Because the Bhasanya comes by Yachibham. Again, this you must have heard many times now. So 1-4-18. Anuvritti of Swadishva Sarvanamasthane. Swadishu Asarvanamasthane. But this is not in the Swadi. For swadi only come from what? Niya pratipadikat. Swadi pratyayas that only can come from niya pratipadikat. Niya pratipadikat. So 412, this dhatu is a dhatu bha. So dhatu is bha. It doesn't have the sanya of pratipadikam. It's only a dhatu. So the suadi pratyaya start from 412 and they can only come after niya pratipadikat. So now the angasya bhasanya nasti. So bhasanyam vina ti lopaha kartum na shakyate. You can say ti lopaha. But evam tarhi, if that is the case, so ritkaranasya kim prayojanam? Anubandhakaranasya kim prayojanam syat? What can be the use of having the dakar and it? Can it have any other prayojanam? Anyat prayojanam na sambhavati. It has no other prayojanam. Tasmat karanat ditkarana samarthyat abhasyapi ter lopaha iti vyakhyanam. So with the fact that javatu pratyaya has does and it can have no other prayojanam but for removing the ti bhagaha. So he says diti avasyapi anubandhakarana samarthya ti lopa bhavati. Let me put this and let me explain one more time what we're talking about here. Is that this is the vyakhyanam, is that diti abhasyapi anubandhakarana samarthya ti lopo bhavati. Is even though the bha angam does not have bha sanya. Bha sanya can only come when the pratyaya falling is in the swadi list. Swadi. Swadis can only come after ni a pratipadikat. Bha is a dhatu. This pratyaya cannot come, it cannot take a swadi pratyaya. Simple as that. So bha does not have bha sanya. But 6443 in the bhasya adhikaraha. So it cannot be applied as it stands without the bha sanya for the angam. But the does and it doesn't have any other prayojanam. It has to have prayojanam. Anyatha it karanam vyartham syat. This will be useless. So useless. So the fact that Panini has put the does in it means that he intends ti lopa to be done. So diti abhasyapi anubandhakarana samarthya ti lopa bhavati. So we get the padikam bhavat. This is how bhavat is formed. This bhavat is always used in the third person. So what is this honorific bhavat? What is going on here? So this sutra we have learned like years back, but let's look at this in one more time right now. At that time we're not recording classes. So anyway, look, I think all of you know this. Is that when can madhyama purusha be used? When can prathama purusha be used? When can uttama purusha be used? And this is 14105 says yushmadya upapade. Yushmadi upapade. When yushmad is being when the verb is being used in conjunction with yushmad. Yushmad yadyapi sakshad na prayujyate. When you say kutra gacchasi, where are you going? Even though yushmat has not been used directly there, yushmat is implied there. So in connection with yushmat, whether implied or direct, only in connection with yushmad, that one single pratipadikam, yushmad yupapade, samanadhikarane sthaninyapi. Sthaninyapi means that it doesn't have to be specifically there. Sthaninyapi madhyamaha. So madhya purusha can only be used when it's in samadhikaranam with yushmad. Yushmad is around. Yushmad is dictating that. So you cannot say bhavan gacchati gacchasi, because that is not yushmad. This is a single pratipadikam. This is not arthagrahanam. It is single pratipadikam. Ekame pratipadikam yushmad. Tasmin upapade eva. Anyatha na bhavati. Madhyamaha. And then asmadhi uttamaha. Asmadhyuttamaha. Asmadhyuttamaha. Asmadi uttamaha. Same thing when asmadhi uttamaha and sheshe prathamaha. So sheshe prathamaha. So now what happens is that if you don't have asmad in connection with that verb, if you don't have yushmad, then everybody else takes prathamaha. Everybody takes prathamaha. So if you look at this one very quickly, so bhavat, even though the meaning wise it means honorific you, it is specifically Panini says only yushmad yupapade madhyamaha, asmad yupapade sthaninyapi. Of course, in both cases. Pratamaha, Uttamaha, Uttamaha. It's also very confusing. In English, when we say first person, we mean Uttama Purusha. Very confusing. So please be clear in your mind. The Uttama Purusha in English becomes first person. Madhyama Purusha, of course, is second person. And the Pratham Purusha in Sanskritam, in Vyakaranam, becomes in English third person. Be very careful of that. He says that Laschit Adhikritya Samanyena Tibbadiha. So Tibbadiha, the tip, etc. Tesham ayam Purusha Niyama Kriyate. Which Purusha do you want to use? Yushmadi Upapade Sati. Vyavahite Cha Avyavahite Sati. Upapade means it has to be not immediately preceding. It could be also separated by a few words. So that Tvam Kutra Gacchasi. So Tvam is Yushmad is there. It is Atra Shabdena Vyavadhanam. Kutra Shabdena, I should say Kutra Shabdena Vyavadhanam Vartate. Tathapi Madhyam Purusha eva Prayujyate. You can, even though it doesn't have to be Vyavahite, Avyavahite Sati, Samadhikarane, Samanya Vidheya. Of course, the verb should be referring to the Yushmat. The verb should be referring to the Yushmat Padam. So Tulyakarake, Sthanini, Prayujyamane api, Aprayujyamane api. Even though it may not be specifically used, might be implied, like Kutra Gacchasi, Madhyam Purusha Bhavati, Tam Pachasi, Yuvam Pachataha, Pachasi Pachataha. And then, of course, he goes on to say, which is the 107, says that Asmadhyuttamaha, which is the same kind of rules, Asmadhyupapade, Samana Vidheye, Prayujyamane, Prayujyamane, Aprayujyamane api Uttam Purushaha, and Sheshe Prathamaha. So Sheshe, so this Bhavat will come under Sheshe. It is not Asmad, it is not Yushmad. So Bhavat comes under in connection with Bhavat. Connection with Bhavat. With Bhavat Pratipadikam, we have to use use Pratham Purusha because of Pratham Purusha, third person in English. Pratham Purusha.
Sadishi?
Yes, sir.
In connection with.
Yes, sorry, connection with. Yes. Tvaravashad Pramada Jata. Rushing too much. But use Pratham Purusha. Why? 14108. Yeah, if I'm making any mistakes, please point out. So let's try to keep this 14108. Okay, that's what he's saying in this one here is that. So Bhavat is not Asmad, not Yushmat. So Pratham Purusha, I'll put in bracket, make it clear, third person. What's called English third person. Third person. Okay. Now comes this Atra and Tatra can be prefixed to Bhavat to express greater respect. Whether I think I mentioned to you in a few classes back is there's a very nice book by Apteji, Apte Mahodayena Rachitam. It is the Guide to Sanskrit Composition. Very nice book, much less popular than, of course, his world famous dictionary. It's very nice. It gives a lot of usages, particularly when it comes to karakas, comes to vibhaktis, when it comes to samasa vidhanam, like usage, connecting proper usage. Shishta prayoga. You should get this Apte's book, please. This is called The Guide to Sanskrit Composition. And in that he mentioned, let me read it out from you there. I don't have it scanned. This is point number 129 in Apte's book. When respect is to be shown, Bhavat or Bhavati in the feminine form is preceded by Atra and Tatra. The former referring to a person that is near Atra Bhavan. The same means that, so you who are here, so means Esha Bhavan. So this you, sir. This you, sir, means that famous, well-respected you. This Atra Bhavan. The latter is to the one who is at a distance, means Tatra Bhavan, or absent from the speaker. As Kva Tatra Bhavati Kashyape. So Kva, so Adishto Asmi Tatra Bhavata Kashyapena. So I have been ordered by the worthy Kashyapa. So Tatra Bhavata means that honorary, that very much well-respected Kashyapa. So Kva Tatra Bhavati, so who are you? Who is that you? Who is the worshipful this one? So, and so on. So now what? So according to Panini Sutras, how would we get this usage now? Tatra bhavan, atra bhavan. Okay. Sutram is 5.3.14. 5.3.14. What is 5.3.14? So we looked at a section today earlier in the class about the Pragdisha Vibhakti. We talked about Pratyaya Tasil very briefly. We talked about Panchamyas Tasil, that if you have a Panchami, you can use Tasil. Swartha to express the Panchami, you can use Tasil. Then also about Saptamyas Tral, of course, very famous Sutram, Tatra, Yatra, Kutra, Sarvatra, and all that Saptamyas Tral. So after Panchami, Tasil is used to express the Panchami. After Saptami, Tral is used. But then this one says, Itarabhyopi drishyante. Itarabhyopi drishyante. Itarabhyo is talking about Vibhaktibhyapi drishyante. This pratyas, tasil and tral, they can also be used after other vibhaktis. But remember, this is still under the Kim Savanama Bahubhya Adhyadibhya. Okay? We are talking about Itarabhyopi drishyate. But here, actually, let me take that. Let's look at the Sutram, 5.3.14. Okay, let's take that back. 5.3.14. Let's look at the Vyakhyana. 5.3. I think, yeah, we are fine. Okay, no, I'm sorry, we are fine. 5.3.14. Okay. So, Itarabhyapi drishyante, 5.3.14. Again, why do we need this Sutram? Because we are looking at the form Tatra Bhavan, Atra Bhavan, where Tatra and Atra is not Panchaptami at all. It is not you, sir, in here, or you, sir, over there. It's not really like that. Then what is it really? Is that, first of all, Saptami Panchami Apeksham Itaratvam. Atirabhyam is other than Panchami or Saptami or Panchami respectively. You can use Tasil, and this Tral also is coming in that. And then Drishyate means that it is the Prayika Vidyartham, Prayikam. Means some specific words, specific idiomatic usages take this kind of usage. And to be very honest with you, the only word that is famous is Bhavat. So we can simplify this whole Sutram and say this word, single word Bhavat, is taking this, allowing this Tral Pratyaya to be used when Saptami is not implied. Then what is implied? Prathama is implied. Is Saha Bhavan can become Tatra Bhavan, Tatra Bhavan, Tato Bhavan, Tatra Bhavan. So in the sense of that you, sir. Now what means of that you means what? We can look on the next page. We're going to see that when you say that you, Pratipadikam Tat, it implies a Pratipadikam Yat. But when Yat is not, it means the famous you, the famous, well-known, respected, so Prasiddha, Pujaniyaha, so Adaraniyaha, in that case of senses can be used. So what that Tatra Bhavan is really Saha Bhavan, that you means well-respected, worshipped, famous you, well-respected you. So you, sir, or by that sir means the well-respected sir. So that Tatra Bhavan is actually standing for Saha Bhavan. It's used after the Prathama. So instead of Prathama, so even though Prathama is implied there, Tral has been used. So by 5.3.14, again, this complete an idiomatic usage. It's 5.3.14. So Saha Bhavan, we're running out of time now, okay. So Saha Bhavan is referred to as, becomes Tatra Bhavan, Tatra Bhavan, Tatra Bhavan, Tatra Bhavan. Now, Tatra Bhavan. And so also after Etad. So this you, again, this you means that this well-known, famous, honorary you. So if you look at the Esha Bhavan, so Esha Bhavan, also same kind of analysis here. When you say Esha Bhavan, this also comes under that same heading, which that becomes Atra Bhavan. Now, couple of things becomes Atra Bhavan. atra bhavan, atra bhavan. Now, first of all, I put the space in between here. Now, let me put a hyphen here. Okay, hyphen here. Tatra bhavan, put a hyphen. I'll tell you why. Because in the opinion, Mallinatha has made a comment that these are actually compounds. They're actually compound by sup-supa compounds. Again, won't go in all details today, but let me just put a hyphen. Tatra bhavan, atra bhavan can be considered as compound. So we are using a 5-3-14. Itarabhyopi drishyante. Itarabhyopi drishyante. 5-4-14, which means that the saptamya stral, and in fact even the panchamya stasil, can be used to express other vibhaktis, not just the intended saptami or panchami respectively. So 5-4-13. So 5-4-13. Now, okay, we're almost out of time. Okay, so tatra and atra, derive these forms. This should be straightforward. Tatra, we are using chadadinamaha. The pradipadikam tat was used. Tad was used with the chadadinamaha, which I think all of you know by now. And also, so tad was used in the sense of, in this case, really as a prathama. So tad plus su, not tad plus ni, tad plus su. That is the sutra. We have used a pratyatral anubandhalopetra by the by halantyam, and then we get the form by using, of course, the usual steps, which is krityadita samasascha, supo dhatu pradipadikayoho, antarvartinaha supluk, supaha luk, tatpaschat atra chadadinamaha, and then you can use the vibhaktau, and then use ato gune. So now we get the form tatra. So we have used our usual rules. Bahuvaram abhyastani sutrani, which is the 126, along with the 2471. We also use chadadinamaha. Now you see chadadinamaha is so important, right? Chadadinamaha, ato gune. In case of the word atra, is actually etad. Start with etad. Etad plus the same steps, etad plus this. Now the only difference here is that you need one more sutram, need one more rule to get the form atra. Now how does etad become atra? So chadadinamaha won't do the job for us. That is chadadinamaha. But there is a Vishesha Sutram, which is this 5-3-5. Etadosh, etadaha, ash. Etado. Let's look at that. 5-3-5, and then only stop with that. 5-3-5. It says that Prag Dishaha. This section from 5-3-1 onward, we saw Prag Dishaha up to the word dish. Where the word dish comes, the dish I think comes in 20. Dik up to 5-3. So up from here to here, from 5-3-1 to 5-3-27 after the word dish. What happens in this section? What happens is that this pradipadikam etat takes the ashadeshaha. Now ashadeshaha means normally, of course, halantyam, anubandhalope, akara avashishyate. Any adeshaha means, you heard this many times, I'll say one more time, alontyasya. When the word adesha comes, immediately alontyasya. But anekashis sarvasya, this ashadesha, this is a talavya shakaraha, itvena prayuktaha, it tasmat karanat sarvadesha bhavati. So it becomes, the entire etad becomes akaraha. So by 5, so not using chadadinamaha, but we have to instead use 5-3-5 along with anekashis sarvasya. Anekashis sarvasya. So 5-3-5 along with anekashis sarvasya. Akusalantyam. And we don't need the ato gune because we got the akara adesha and then tral. Okay. Now the last thing is I said Mallinatha regards it as compound. Not Mulinatha, because other places also. So what kind of compound would this be now? Because this is not really any kind of specific compound. It was called as a miscellaneous compound. So this Tatra Bhavan, Atra Bhavan, which is, again, as Apteji says, Tatra Bhavan means somebody is in front of you, Esha in front of you, Tatra Bhavan. So you, sir, who are here, the honorary you, Atra Bhavan, and Tatra Bhavan, which is somebody who is not in your, far away or not in your presence, that honorary sir, Tatra Bhavan. So these are by what is called as the compounds in the miscellaneous category. Miscellaneous category. What's called as Supsupa? Let me just stop that. I know it's 9 o'clock. So what I'm talking about is that, again, we are going to do compounds in great detail this year. So don't worry about it. You understand what I'm saying today. The rest of the year is going to be compounds anyway. So you'll know this inside out by the time. So what I'm talking about is that there is this, because Panini gives the Vishesha Samasa Bhedaha. He gives, all of these, like, he talks about Avyabhava, he talks about Tatpurushaha, he talks about the, of course, Tatpurusha, a lot of inter subcategories in that, like Karmadharya and this and that, Gati, Upada Samasa. Then he also talks about the Bahuvrihi, he talks about Dvandva. Okay, so these are main categories. But some of them don't fit anywhere. In Gita, Adrishtapurvam Shitosmi Drishtva, Adrishtapurvam. So Arjuna, after seeing the Vishwarupa Darshanam, Tadanantaram Arjunaha Vadati, Adrishtapurvam Shitosmi Drishtva. I'm very happy to have seen something which has never been seen before, which is your Vishwarupam. So Adrishtapurvam. But this doesn't fall in any kind of these compounds. So it's like an adverb compound. So that's what is called as a Kevala Samasaha or Samanya Samasaha, or what's called as Sahasupa or Supsupa. Sahasupa, Supsupa. What is Sahasupa, Supsupa? Is that any Samasa general rule will be one sup with another sup. One subantam combines another subantam to give a compound, because the word supa comes in here and the sup comes in 2-1-2. So sup supa, atva sahasupa, atva kevala samasaha. So this is not a Vishesha Samasa. This is just a miscellaneous category where it doesn't fall into either Tatpurusha or the Avyabhava or Dvandva or Bahuvri Samasa. It's called a Kevala Samasaha or Sahasupa, Supsupa. So this is this miscellaneous compound. So these are called called as, so by, you can just, Anuvritti of Supsupa goes in entire Samasa Prakaranam. So the important thing, by the way, is that Tingantam na samasyate. You cannot take a Tingantam, make a compound. Remember that thing, please. You cannot take a Tingantam, I mean, barring some very rare example which Kashika gives, but 99.99999%, you cannot take a Tingantam and compound it. Compound is only with Subantam with Subantam. Always. I will almost always. 99.99%. So category by 212, 214, we can call it as a Kevala, Atva. Some people call it Sahasupa, some people call it Supsupa, Sup with another Supsupa. So these are kind of names which are used, and this is kind of Samasa which we have. This is Samasa. Okay, let's stop with that. Now next time, I'm sorry we're going a bit slow, but I think I'm giving you many more details than what the book has. If you don't understand any of them, all of them, doesn't matter. We'll go through them again. Now this next page, and we are stopping today. Next page is that there's no sutram for this, but this is a very important kind of a karika which says that there's also Pathabheda here. Idamaha pratyakshagatam. Instead of that, people have idamastu sannikrishtam. We go through it next time. The important thing about this is the last part. Taditi parokshe vijaniyat. The tat pradipradikam should not be used when somebody is in front of you. Drishti gocharam asti chet. If you can do the anguli nirdesha kartum shakyate chet, tat pradipradikam na prayoktavyam. You don't say, when somebody is in front of you, should not say sahavadati. That is wrong usage. Even though most people do that today, that is wrong usage. You should not say saha vadati. You should say esha vadati, athva ayam vadati. If somebody is far away from you, should say asau vadati. We see next time in the class. This last thing is very important. This is not a sutram. This is a prayogaha. Then we talk about this one. Look at sutram from 431 to 433. Also look at this 1274 and 42114. We'll do this next time in detail, like in Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. So Mamakaha. Then here, look at Sutram 5241. These numbers are off a little bit. It should be 1123, 1125, which you already know. The Shat Sanya and the Sankhya. Then Shatbhyo look also you already know. So these are already known to you down here. Only 5241, look at that. And then the next page, which is the last page of this lesson. This mainly, okay. This top one, look at 5253, 92 to 94. 53, 92 to 94. And then the remaining parts are mainly section about the Sarvadini Sarvanama. So what I suggest you for next class is that look at this, just try to go through Sarvadini Sarvanamani and some rules below that, okay? So this will be the main topic for the next page, There's some Vatikams there. There are some important, rules there. Sarvadini Sarvanamani, go up to this from 1127 to 1136, these 10 rules. Look at some details over here, what's going on. Okay, so that's the next page. Let's stop with that. So, Ramo Raja Manis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Vaje Ramena Vijata Nishachara Chamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha Raman Nasti Paranam Parataram Ramasya Dasosmyaham Rame Chittale Sadaho Tamevo Ramamamudhara Rama Rameti Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasanamatulyam Ramanama Varanane Shri Ramanama Varanana Om. Again, I hope all of you are